Good morning, everybody. It is June 29th, 2021, and today I'm going to show you how to record guitars in Ableton. It's super easy, it's super straightforward, and there's a lot of things I've learned in the past 10 years of producing that I think is going to help you to record guitars more efficiently and quicker in Ableton. Plus, if you're a beginner, we're going to go through each of the steps that you're going to need, so it's kind of foolproof. Right now, we've got a song, me and Chelsea and the Noise, my music project. We're currently working on a song tentatively titled called The Big Bad Ballad. I have to record some guitars into this today, so I figured it's a perfect live example. Right now, we just got the little piano ballad playing. Let's start with what equipment you need to record guitars in Ableton. Now, there's a couple of different things you need, but I'm really going to go down to the basics of what you need. It's pretty simple. And the first thing you're going to need is a computer running Ableton. And now you can see right here, we've got Ableton running already. So we're going to go in all the settings and everything in just a little bit. The next thing you're probably going to need is some sort of guitar cable. There's a lot of great guitar cables out there. I don't ever invest in really nice ones because all of mine end up working just fine. This is actually one one of my old bandmates actually left, so I've been using this ever since, and it works just great. But if you guys want, go to Guitar Center, go to Sweetwater, go to Amazon, get a guitar cable with got a lot of great reviews, and chances are it's going to work just fine for you. Cable, Ableton. You're also going to need a guitar, of course, which you're going to grab in a second. And probably the most confusing part that a lot of people don't understand is the audio interface aspect, which we have right here. This is the Focusrite Scarlett 18i something, can't remember the exact name of it. But the important part here is that it has a 1/4-inch jack on the front. It also has some on the back, but it's got a 1/4-inch jack in the front, which we're going to route into. Right now I've got some routing cables in there, but we'll just unplug these for now. And the important part is that it has an instrument input on these multi-jacks here. These multi-jacks allow XLR or 1/4-inch in, and they allow line level, XLR, or instrument level. And to activate instrument level, we're just going to hit instrument right here. Now it's important to have this turned on when you have a guitar or some sort of a pickup device, a guitar or a bass or something with a pickup device here, and you're going to want to make sure instrument is turned on. If you're using something at line level, like a mixer or a DJ controller or a audio source of some sort, you probably just want that off. Now what this is going to do is going to add some gain into the signal already. It's going to allow it to know exactly what it's going to be taking in, and it's going to make it sound a lot better. If you're using like a universal audio interface or an audio interface with a dedicated high Z port on it, which is another thing this is called, a high Z port, then you probably don't have that button because you don't need it. It's got a dedicated button for it. And chances are if you're using universal audio, you're probably not really watching this tutorial. You probably already know what you're doing. But if not, we're still going to teach you. All right, so we went over the basics. We've got our instrument cable, computer, interface. I'm going to go grab my guitar real quick. For this demo, I'm using a Schecter Omen 6. I want to say Line 6, but that's a brand, not a guitar. I've had this guitar since I was 12. I bought it with my garage sale money when I was 12. My dad took me to Guitar Center and I bought it. Since then, I've added a couple little modifications. I got a kill switch here, and I've got some Seymour Duncan pickups right here as well. Cool. So just like I explained earlier, we're going to take our instrument cable. I'm going to undo the Velcro here. Probably should have before the video. And we're going to plug this in the guitar input. So pretty simple. You all know about that. If you've ever played into an amp, it's pretty obvious. And then we're going to take our other input and plug it in to our audio interface. Now I want to make sure I show you guys this. It's super simple. I'm going to plug in input 1 here and just plug it right in there too. I could also do 2 if I wanted to. You could probably hear it clicking in and out. 1 has the instrument turned on, so I'll just double check. It's turned on. That looks good. Cool. So now that we've done the hard part, because this is probably the hardest part, this actually requires physical labor versus just mouse clicking. We're going to go into Ableton now and look at the settings. All right. So here's Ableton. Here's me. Hello. I think you'll be able to see everything with my little camera there. So the first thing we want to do in Ableton is look at our preferences, because we have to make sure Ableton knows that we have an audio input source. So you probably already know how to set an output source if you're any familiar with Ableton. But to do that, you can go to Options, or I'm sorry, Live, and then Preferences. I get confused because in Windows it's a little different. But if you're on Mac, it's going to be Live Preferences. Then on Windows, I believe it's in Options. The other thing that always works is I use the Command comma hotkey or the Control comma hotkey to automatically get to my preferences setting in Ableton. And now right here, you can see a couple different things. You got driver type here. I'm on Mac, so I have core audio. If you're using a PC, you're probably going to use ASIO. You have a couple options there. It all depends on what interface you're using. And then for my audio input device, I'm going to select the same thing. So I've got Scarlett 18920 as my audio interface, and I've got it as my output device. I'm sorry, input device and my output device. Now, it's important to remember that it's best to have the same audio interface working for the input and the output. It just works better that way. It doesn't have any latency, it doesn't have to compensate for any delay, it just works a lot better. So always set your input and your output to the same thing. All right, and now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna look at our input configuration. This basically says, hey, if I have an interface with multiple inputs, which inputs do I want Ableton to be able to see? So let's check on input config here. And you can see I have 1 and 2 mono inputs selected. And I've got a couple other things selected here throughout here. And those are for other purposes. For today's video, I'm gonna go ahead and turn those all off. So I've got my mono inputs 1 and 2. Now the way this interface works, and I believe Ableton works with most interfaces, is it has to select 2 at a time. You can also do a stereo input here if you're using, like I said, a DJ mixer and you want to get that left and right signal in at the same time. But for today, we're just going to use mono inputs 1 and 2 because I know that my guitar interface is my guitar is plugged into the interface's first input, labeled here with 1. A little bit of a better view for you guys there. Right there. Awesome. So now I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK here. You hear a little stutter there while it just catches up. Next thing here, you can pick your sample rate. 44 or 48 is going to be fine for you guys. I usually like 48 because I export at 24. You have your pitch conversion here. I leave it at high quality, makes it pretty easy. Now down here we have latency. Now a lot of people use this because they think, I want to have 0 latency when I'm playing guitar. I want to play guitar into Ableton. I want to hear exactly what it's doing. And that works for when you're jamming out or you're not really worried about recording necessarily. But if you have any driver error compensation here, which is what allows you to get your latency down, meaning that Ableton will kind of think better and kind of anticipate things in a different way, then it's going to actually cause delay in recording. So just make sure your driver error compensation is all the way down to 0. Your buffer size isn't going to matter. Leave it on whatever you have by default, or if you want to increase your sample size, go ahead or decrease. It just basically means, if you have a complicated project, your buffer size should probably be larger. If you have not a so complicated project, your buffer size should be smaller. This matters when you're exporting stuff and routing it out into hardware gear because it makes Ableton just work faster and pick up things faster. But for today's purpose and recording guitar strictly, you're just recording something into Ableton. Go ahead and leave your buffer size where it's at, or increase it if you're hearing a little bit of digital dropouts. But ultimately, your driver error compensation is super important to leave at 0, okay? Yes, I have latency, but I'm not going to be playing the guitar and jamming out with effects. I'm just going to be playing the guitar directly in. All right, so that's everything for the Ableton preferences section. So just to confirm, driver type, core audio or ASIO, pick the same input and output, your input configuration. You can leave your sample rate wherever it's at. You can leave your buffer size wherever it's at as long as it's working for you. And then make sure driver error compensation is all the way down to 0. Cool. So that is the preferences section. Now we have to talk about what actually is going to be going on in Ableton in the mixer section, in the arrangement section. I'm going to pause that amazing loop, which I realized I had looped this entire time. I hope you guys don't mind that. And now we're just going to check out this guitar that I currently already have recorded in Ableton. So I'm going to solo this. And so this is just demo guitar. This is just a take here. Cool. And now you can see on my chain here, I've got a couple things going on. I've got a compressor, I've got a tuner, I've got an audio processor and a filter. If you guys want to check out how I process guitars, make sure you watch the next video in this series. It's going to be coming out tomorrow. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to create a new track. So to do that, I can right click anywhere in here and I click insert audio track. I can also go up here to create insert audio track. And don't forget, Ableton always shows you the cool hotkeys right here. So by hitting Command T, I can get a new audio track right there. Now over here, we're going to pick what we want to select in Ableton to actually tell, hey, if I'm playing something, I want this input to be picked up. And now here you can pick, if you want to pick an input from another track in Ableton, you can grab audio from the master, you can resample stuff, which we'll go over in another video too. But today we're going to be talking about external input because it's an external input from your audio interface. And you also have this configure thing right here. And this takes you right back to this section. So if you forget where to go, you can always do that as well. And so I want to make sure I have one selected. And you can see as I play my guitar, I have one selected there. Make sure you guys can hear that. Yep, you can. So one is selected. I'm obviously getting signal. And now this is the next really important part about Ableton. Right here, you can pick the monitoring style. So do you want monitoring set to off, in, or auto? Now here's the tricky part. If you are, let's say, going to be running any effects and you want to hear what they sound like, you're going to want this on auto, or else you're not going to hear the effects. If you want Ableton to record the best way possible, you're going to want in or off. And I'll explain more about that in just a second. Now, the last thing we want to look at over here is, hey, are we record enabled? And to check that, we can go over here to our arm recording button. Once we click this, it basically means this track is hot. This track is ready to record. You can see it's actually picking up audio signal right here, which is great. And we're almost ready to record. Now, earlier I was talking, or literally a second ago, I was talking about this section here. Now, let's recap real quick why you'd want to use off, in, or auto. So in or off are going to be great for our purposes today. What that basically means is Ableton is taking the audio as it comes from the guitar directly. It's not processing it at all. It's just grabbing it and recording it and putting it in your project. However, auto means it's going to run through the effects or run through Ableton's processing before it hits the recording. Now, why that's super important is because if you have like a distortion or if you have a tuner, which we're going to check in just a second, auto is the only way you're going to be able to hear those. So sometimes it's like, do I want to pick a preset first for my distortions? Do I want to pick an amp simulator first, which we'll get into in another video as well? Or do I want to just kind of record directly? And I always recommend recording directly into Ableton, directly into your audio interface, because that's going to be the best way possible. It's going to be the best way possible in terms of timing. And I'll show you why too as an example. So right here on our audio section, let's go ahead and grab an audio effect. And what I want to do here is I want to grab our tuner. So I'm a big fan of the search bar here. I'm going to grab a tuner here and throw it on our audio track. And you can see we're highlighted 7, only the tuner is selected. Now, if I play it open E here, you guys can hear it, but Ableton can't hear it because it's just coming through the audio interface. And Ableton can grab it, but it can't process it. And you can tell because the tuner is not working. But if I select this to auto, the tuner magically works. Right? So it can, now Ableton is hearing it. You guys are probably maybe hearing it a little bit of a delay. You're probably hearing it twice, but Ableton is now able to grab that audio and process it versus just grab it for recording. Okay, that's off versus auto. In works just like off, but I just like off because I like to keep all my things yellow. In is basically saying like, hey, do I want something playing through Ableton the entire time versus worrying about versus worrying about just recording. So you can do in or off. I recommend just keeping it on off. Now let's go ahead and tune my guitar real quick because I realized starting this recording, I didn't have it recorded. Oh, see, I didn't put auto on. Let's put auto back on and hear that awesome, weird double guitar. So my E is pretty good. Ooh, what the heck is that? That's record. There we go. A. I think I hit the D string thinking it was an A. There we go. So I love the Ableton Tuner because it just allows me not to pull out a pedal or anything. It's just that auto trick is really important to remember. Hey, I'm in auto or I'm on monitoring. All right, and I'm just gonna record. I'm just gonna tune those guys because all I'm doing is playing power chords for this right now. And I'm gonna go back and select off. Just checking. Ableton does not see that. The Ableton Tuner is not working anymore. All right, now it's time to record some stuff in Ableton. Now for this first part, it's just a GFD or GFCD sequence in power chords. So it's G, F, G, F, G, F, C, C, D. So it's a really easy chord progression. And I'm probably going to mess the timing up, but I'm just trying to show you how to record. All right, so let's go back to Ableton now, and let's go ahead and play it through. Now here's the other thing that's kind of tricky. You have a couple options within Ableton of how you want to hear things as you're recording. You have the metronome up here, which if you guys don't know, will allow you to hear the metronome beeps while you're playing. So let's go ahead and turn that on, hear what we hear. Right? So if you have a lot of drums, you might not need that. I'm gonna leave it on for my recording because I like to. You also have your quantization menu here. That's for more for launching stuff, so you can actually ignore that. And then the next thing is the big record button here. So once we hit that, we're gonna record stuff in. Now you're gonna see something really interesting when I hit record. Do you see those 4 bars of Ableton making like almost like an imaginary section here? Right? So the timeline's not moving, we're not hearing anything. And that's because in my settings, I have a count in set to 1 bar. That means I have a 1 bar count in. It gives me time to hear the tempo and to then play in Ableton. So let's go ahead and use that 1 bar count in and play here. So record is enabled. If I hit play, we should start hearing the count in and we can play right in. Whoa, those waveforms are super fat. That's not good. And let's check out why. So let's go back to our interface and I'll play the chords again. Oh, we're super peaking, right? You guys see that red line? That red line means that we are just too hot. I know we're good looking. But right now we're just too hot. So all I need to do is turn down our gain. So I have a big gain knob here on the channel on 1. Right? And if we're looking at like a smaller interface, like if I show you guys the complete audio 6 right here, right? Your gain knob is just right there. So you've got options with interfaces. You don't always have to use a big rack mount. There's plenty of things out there, but they should all have gain knobs on them somewhere. All right, so let's try it now. All right, so that's a little low. Maybe just a little bit more hot, a little more heat. And what I would say is you want to get either right at, maybe right below yellow. I like to just stay in the green. For a while, I was always about being in yellow the entire time because I thought Ableton needed as much gain as possible. It really doesn't. If you're working in digital, the digital workspace, green is going to be fine just as long as it's a good amount of green, right? We don't want to be super low. We want to be able to have something there. So let's just double check one more time. Yeah, we're at like minus 6 dB right there. A little bit of yellow. That's fine. All right, let's go back into Ableton now and try recording again. Now I'm going to use that count in function again. All right, and let's pause there. Let's record the waveforms. So you see this big chunky guy that's peaking versus this guy. Let's actually listen to those. Right, you get a little fuzz, a little distortion right there because it's a little too hot. We don't need that distortion yet. So I think we're at a really good level now. So let's try recording one more time. I just love this part of the song. Still a work in progress, but you guys get the idea of the song. All right, so let's just listen back to that real quick. See, the tuner is working now because we have the monitor set to off, so the tuner is picking it up because it's already recorded in Ableton. It's not picking up the audio processing. Or it's not picking up the live input, I should say. So like I said, not my best work, but overall, not bad. Pretty good. All right, and that's basically all you do. So from there, you can input, you can process it, throw on a compressor. If you're on Ableton Live Lite and you don't have the full process, I recommend throwing a compressor on. I recommend trying reverb, delays. I recommend trying a little bit of redux. And if you're on the full-fledged Ableton, you've got amp simulators, you've got all that cool stuff you can throw on there. I'm a big fan of Guitar Rig and STL Tonality. Or Tone Hub, I don't know what the heck it's called, but I recommend both of those. But yeah, if you guys like this, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if anything didn't make sense and I can help you out. Please also give this video a like if it helped you at all. And hey, if you guys can, give me a subscribe. I'm trying to record videos every day and try to show you basics in Ableton, deeper stuff in Ableton, and also kind of take you through my process workflow, working through my two music projects, Chelsea and the Noise and Cat Named Monkey. And with that, I'll go ahead and leave you guys with this awesome little breakdown.